because his father's a dreamer and this kid dreams. And sometimes when I first came around this place, I'll tell you right now, I'd look at him and be like, this kid's nuts. He thinks this is possible. And the longer that I was around it, I started to realize that, no, he was actually really believed, and it was because his father had instilled in him that anything is possible. And when you start to have the faith like that, and so when he comes up and he speaks, he's speaking from a place of, man, I believe in this. I have faith in this. My father and my mother have led me so well, so strong. And so we're getting to hear the next generation come along. And Blake, I'm just so excited to hear what you have today, but just it's an honor, it's a privilege to be with you and walk with you. So without further ado, I'm going to bring up my brother, Mr. Blake Goad.
Hold on here. Gotta love when technology doesn't want to work. Come on. There we go. How y'all doing today? There we go. Junior requests a joke. Should I do a joke? Well, this is a joke. Okay, here we go. This is funny. I thought this was funny. So it says, operator, 911, what's your emergency? It says, responder, my wife's going into labor and I don't know what to do. He says, operator, is this her firstborn? Responder, no, this is her husband. If you don't get that now, you get that later. It's okay. But how y'all doing? Y'all doing good? You excited to be at leadership? I say this every time, but it literally feels like we just had leadership. It's crazy. Time flies when you're having fun and you're doing good stuff, right? It's awesome. But today, I was trying to figure out, like last week, I was trying to figure out what I wanted to talk on. And I really felt like I was like, dude, go back 3 or 4 years ago and pull out one of your old talks and modify it. And just see how far you've grown from one of your old talks. I was like, okay. So I went back into my vault and I pulled out one of PT's notes. No, okay, no. I pulled out some of my notes, and I'm excited to talk today. But today, I pulled out a talk that I gave, one of my very first talks that I, back when PT loved doing acrostics. How many of you love acrostics? I learned it from my mom and my dad, and I love it because I could actually teach me how to spell a word. It's perfect. A lot of you don't know I'm dyslexic, so that's fun. It's awesome. But today, I'm breaking down something that, when you hear this term that I'm going to be breaking down, it has a bad representation or bad thing that goes along with this when you hear this term. But the term is MIA. MIA. And if you all don't know what that means, it means missing in action. And both of my grandparents were in the military. And I have a lot of friends that were in the military because I got to be around them because of my father. But I always loved hearing about, they would always say, but there's no man left behind. There's no soldier left behind. And, when they would hear MIA, they would want to go right back in and try to find their partner or find their brother in arms. But today I wanted to break down the positive versions of what, in my versions in leadership, what MIA stands for. And can I do that for you today? Is that cool? So the M in MIA stands for motivation. Motivation. There's so many times in war, and you hear these stories about these guys, like I said, they MIA, they're missing in action. And when their brothers in arms hear that term, it gives them motivation to want to go find them, right? And how many of you, I love war movies. I love war movies. And every time I watch a war movie or like a sports movie that gets me fired up, I can't go to sleep. Because I instantly feel like I'm in that fight and I want to go run through a brick wall. Even though it would kill me, but I want to go run through a brick wall, right? But it's so crazy, and I love this. It says you have to find what motivates you and what motivates your team. And that's two very different things. Very different things. What motivates you will most likely not motivate your team, and what motivates your team will most likely not motivate you. One of the greatest things that I've found is everybody's motivation is different. Everybody's motivation is different. The reason they get out of bed every morning, the reason they want to live, the reason they go to work, the reason they do whatever it is they do, the reason they get out of is their motivation to win. But that is the one thing that I have found, the commonality in motivation. The one thing that I have asked leaders over the years is I found that they all wanted to succeed. That is the one commonality in the motivation. I love what Walt Disney said. He says, the way to get started is to quit talking about it and just do it. One, in my opinion, besides my father, probably the greatest visionary to ever live, Walt Disney. I was telling somebody the other day, the Disney company, the theme parks, were created because he wanted a safe place for his 2 daughters to play. Now, if that is not the simplest dream that became into the biggest reality. Sometimes the simplest things become the greatest impact. Simple things become bigger than you know. Leaders become great not because they are empowered, but because they are ability to empower others. Leaders become great not because they are in power, but because they empower others. I love this. Successful people do consistently what others do occasionally. Successful people do occasionally, they do consistently what others do occasionally. My dad always taught me at a very young age, what you do when nobody is looking will eventually come out when they are looking. I love this. George Foreman said, without appreciation or respect for other people, true leadership becomes ineffective, if not impossible. The I in MIA stands for integrity. Integrity. There's a statement that I've heard my father say, probably more statement, I've heard him say this more than probably any other statement, but it's doing the right thing at the right time for the right reasons when nobody else is looking. Doing the right thing at the right time for the right reasons. And I always love to do this. What is something you're doing now that will eventually come out that you don't think will come out, that will affect your leadership? Think about it. That's kind of a crazy, daunting thing to think about. And one of the greatest things I've found is I love going to people and going, hey, do you see anything in my life that I'm doing that's going to affect me in 5 or 10 years that I don't see I'm doing? What are you doing at the right time for the right reasons? Number 2, the second point under that is integrity is doing unto others as you would want done to you. Doing unto others as you would want done to you. The third one in the A is appreciation. Appreciation. I'm going fast today. Sorry, guys. Appreciation. One of the greatest things I found in life is showing people how much you care, verbally and physically. That could be giving somebody a high five. That could be saying, dude, you're doing amazing. You're doing so awesome. How many of you have ever been to a restaurant or somewhere and you could just tell the waiter's not having a great day? And you just go, hey, just a thank you for doing what you do. And you just see them smile and their shoulders go back. You're like, am I really doing a good job? And if you watch, they'll keep coming back to your table more and more because you gave them a positive reinforcement. That's like I have friends that train, and we know people that train dogs. And they said that the dogs will go back to the trainers that gave them the positive reinforcement over the negative reinforcement trainers. Because how many of you know in life, we want to know that we did a good job. That we are appreciated. The difference between saying thank you and showing things are two different things. Saying things and showing things. I love this. Without appreciation and respect for other people, the culture you're in will drown. The culture you're in will drown. I love what Arnold Palmer said. Arnold Palmer said, the most rewarding things you do in life are often the ones that look like they cannot be done. Sometimes the greatest things you can do are the most uncomfortable things you do. I see a couple y'all nodding each other like, But it's awesome. And I love this. And I believe this talk, MIA, motivation, integrity, and appreciation, determines who you are. I did a talk not too long ago, a couple months ago, and about habits. and the habits you have in your life. And I truly believe when you have motivation, when you have integrity, and you have appreciation, it determines who you are, because who you are determines what you do. Who you are determines what you do. It determines what you do, like I just said. And 3 is it determines where you're going. Where you're going. And I want to encourage you, one of the greatest things you can do in life is get people around you that are motivated, that have integrity, and appreciate you for who you are. And more importantly, appreciate where you're able to go. They see the potential in your life. I'm so grateful for my parents because they put my sister and I in environments and around people that more than anything, they saw us for where we were, but they saw us for where we can be in 15 to 20 years. And they pulled it out of us. They pulled it out of us. So I am so grateful for my father. I am coming to a close here. I was very short today. But sometimes short and sweet and straight to the point is more impactful sometimes, right? You know. But I am so grateful for this man. He keeps me motivated. He shows me what integrity is. And I appreciate him so much, because if it wasn't for him, I would not be here. A lot of you will get that later. And I also physically would not be here right now talking to you, because I would be over in the corner going, no, I'm okay. You can go up and talk today. But I'm truly grateful for him, and I'm going to bring him up before I start crying. So will you please tell my dad, welcome my dad, Tim Cook.
So proud of you. Amazing. Oh my gosh. I hate when they get better than me. You know what I'm talking about? No,
it hasn't happened yet.
Actually, that's the goal. That's the goal. Man, it's good to see you today. Welcome to the taping of G5 Leadership. And I got to tell you, I am probably more excited about doing this session than any other session I've ever done. Partly because I've never done it, but I've always wanted to do it. How many of y'all got something you always wanted to do, but you've never done? Can I get a, yeah, that's right. So I want to talk to you today about the characteristics of an entrepreneur. One of the greatest things that leaders get to do in life is help people move. Now, don't get offended, okay? From employee mindset to entrepreneur mindset. Now, it's scary because it deals with 3 areas in your life. Write these down. I'll probably do a lesson on this, okay? I asked Josh today before I walked in, I said, can you tell me in your entrepreneurial experience? Because there was a time I knew Josh, he had a job, and he had a job mentality. And I'm not building him up. I'm just letting you know that it's a scary transition when, like an eagle, you get kicked out of the nest to go fly the way you were made to fly. So if you will hang with me today, I promise you, this is going to be so equipping and so impactful. There's 3 areas that it messes with, though. First of all is your identity. Who are you? Do you know your value? Do you know your gift? Do you know the difference that your presence makes just when you enter a room? If you don't know that, if you're not aware of that, you can never let your gift shine that brightly. I get the privilege to work with a lot of entrepreneurs, and anytime you're moving from one section, one place, one level to another, it's always an identity crisis. Because I have to be willing to understand that my thinking and my processing are probably not at the level they need to be. It's all really about your understanding your worth. And if you don't understand your worth, you will not know how to walk. You won't know how to walk. People that know their worth just walk differently. They walk with different people. They walk in different places. The second thing is mindset. Mindset. It's hard to stop somebody that has a made-up mind. I made a decision. I've made a decision. I'm not going to do this anymore. I made a decision. I'm going to do this now. A mindset. It's an attitude. It's so much about how you see yourself. The third thing, because I can't be here very long, is your beliefs. If I ask you right now, do you really believe in you? Do you believe in the God that made you? Do you believe that the future can be bright? Do you believe that your best days are ahead of you? Do you believe that you will overcome? Do you believe that whatever you're experiencing right now, this too shall pass? It's a season. So there are these differences. Let me just highlight a few real quick, okay? Write them down. Don't get mad. But an employee normally will work only 8 hours a day, and 2 hours before it's time to leave will begin to shut down so that they can get out on time. And an entrepreneur loses total track of time because they're chasing a dream that is so big. Their dream is more important than the pleasure that they would exchange for it. So they exchange this hour for dollars. And by the way, we get caught in it because our school systems teach it to us. How many times was I told, if you get a good education, you'll get a really good job? And I'm not against education, and I do believe some forms of education are really, really powerful. But if you think education will cause people to respect you, it will never happen. Because people do not follow titles. They follow courage. Big. They also move from this lack mentality to abundance. They don't try to get as much as they can for as little as they can do. Zig Ziglar used to say that the longest distance between 2 points is a shortcut. Here's the problem with shortcuts. Even if you make it work, you never built the character or the muscle or the strength to stand in the position that you just got. I don't know if you've ever had this happen to you yet or not, but if you've ever been asked to speak someplace where you should not be speaking, if you've ever asked to head up something that you were not ready to head up, but you're so blindsided you don't even know it. You can't even see the weaknesses that are around you until you've been coached and mentored into the place to say, hey, every step you take, people are watching you. Everything you say, people are listening to and they're trying to digest it. So, when I watch people begin to look at their lives and instead of living for pleasure right now, here's another one. They live for legacy and mission that's bigger than themselves. The other thing is that they move from this consumer mentality to being a contributor. It's not what have you done for me lately. It's what can I do to add value in this environment, and do I appreciate it? They also have a passion to enlarge and empower other people. It's not enough that they're winning. They want to see the gifts, talents, and abilities. They want to see undiscovered and undeveloped passion and talent in other people, and they want to create an environment where that can become a reality. Are you tracking with me? Okay, this is so critical. Employees often want things to stay the same. I got comfortable, so let's leave it alone. And an entrepreneur is always saying, let's bring upgrades. Let's make it better. So there are 4 types of entrepreneurs. I think everybody fits in these 4 categories. Okay? First of all is the inventor. They just love to create the next big thing. What will be the next iPhone? What will be the next big thing that happens? They see the big picture. They imagine products and business ideas that don't exist yet, and they work to bring them to reality. The second is a small business owner. By the way, our country, the United States, is built not on massive companies. It's built on small individual businesses, mom and pop shops. And I want to tell you, it's a powerful thing. And if you were ever raised in a family that had a business, you learned some skills that other people never get the privilege to learn. Hard work, taking responsibility. There's just a lot of things you learn. They employ less than 500 workers, and these people operate from a small consultant businesses to popular local restaurants. And they understand the value of hard work and leading a talented team of coworkers. Gosh, we could unpack that for hours. The third is the online entrepreneur. Whether it's a side hustle or a full-time job, these entrepreneurs make the internet work for them. They might sell a product. They might have a store online. They may maintain financial popular blogs, develop software to distribute online, but no matter what, they have a direct relationship with the clients through their online business. Number 4 is the home business owner. They start their dream in their home. They may use a spare room, or they may use a corner of their living room, or they may do something in their garage, but they use their homes as a home-based business. I get the privilege to coach a lot of multi-level companies. Matter of fact, after I did Locker Room last night, I just did this new up-and-coming, crazy, growing like crazy multi-level. I dealt with their leaders last night, and we had fun. It may be a plumbing business or a home garage store or equipment. On the other hand, it might be a soap maker. I mean, it can be anything imaginable. But what these people do, and this is really critical, what I'm going to say, is they find a need and fill it. They find a need and fill it. So, let's go through the qualities of these people. Starting a new business can have a lot of risk, and it gives you a lot of exposure. That there's something about feeling like you're safe in a job that just makes no sense. Because truthfully, the only thing that gives you security is your performance. It's the value that you add. It's the difference that you make. How many of you entrepreneurs listening to me right now would not give a lot for 10 people that absolutely would have courage enough to step out and run for their dream, and they would be mentored? By the way, here's some really great news for you. That right now, people graduating high school and in first year of college are the most entrepreneurial generation ever in the history of the world. We got to go find them. Now, most of them come, and I'm not being critical, okay? Most of them either came out of broken homes or dysfunctional homes. And at the end, I will tell you 5 things that you got to look out for. And this will be one of the things that I will tell you you have to be so careful with. So wait to the end and I will give you that. But here are some skills you need to be a successful entrepreneur. You have a dream, you have a vision, you have a purpose, you have a why. Now, if you don't have a vision, mission, and value statement, you need to develop that. And then you need to become that. You don't need to teach that. You need to live that. When I go into companies, one of the biggest frustrations that employees or coworkers tell me is, well, we have these big strategy sessions, but nobody lives it. And so that's a very discouraging, disappointing thing for people. So if you're ready, let's go. Number one, they're disciplined. The number one quality of an entrepreneur is self-discipline. They build incredible habits. Habits. You need to do the work even when you don't feel like it. Even when you don't feel like it. I think my son said it, that successful people do always what unsuccessful people do occasionally. What is it in your life right now? If I sit down with you right now and said, write out your day for me, what's the first thing you do? What's the second thing you do? What is the third thing you do? Because all great leaders and entrepreneurs live their life through systems. Now we'll talk about it, okay? Because you also have to be flexible in that. But I can just tell you, your personal growth, your spiritual growth, you cannot delegate. And the most critical thing you will ever do in your life is get planted in great soil. Because you need to hear me right now. If you're following a leader, you not only take on the words of that leader, but you take on their spirit. Okay, that's deep. And so in your life right now, if you have a day job and you're working for money, you may have a night job where you're working for money and your dream. It's in the extra that the extra become a reality. And if you, as a young person, or I don't even care where you are in life right now, if you can get a hold of this, it will absolutely rock your world. I have a friend of mine last night that texted me at 11 o'clock after all this was over. And this is one of the neatest moments of my life. And he was celebrating because he just closed the largest deal. And I challenged him and about 4 or 5 other entrepreneurs this year. Now, if you don't have faith, don't be offended by me, but I challenged them to believe that God would bless their businesses so that what they were presently making, they could tithe. He can do anything, you know. It's a mindset. It's an identity. It's a belief system. There is something inside of you that is waiting to come forth. But it's going to take, you have to be motivated. And you have to get up. And sometimes you have to stay up late to get this new adventure running. Number 2 is curiosity. The best entrepreneurs always want to learn more. They ask great questions. They look for opportunities to grow themselves like G5 Leadership Today and others. These people don't dwell on what they think they know, but instead, they change their opinion when presented with new information that's more accurate. Curiosity to learn is just part of how they approach the world. I love curious people because I think their favorite question to ask is why. I had to have our garage door worked on today. And the gentleman showed up and he got out of the truck and he was so excited and he's laughing and he goes, I'm just laughing all morning because most people hate their jobs and I haven't worked a day of my life in 27 years because I love fixing doors. I've never done it. But today I called the company and said, you brought Al out here, and Al was such an amazing blessing. He would listen to my garage door, and he said, listen, it's talking to you. And sure enough, I hit the button, it goes, click, 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 click. He says, you know what it's saying? I said, no, I got no idea. He said, it's check your lights. Triggers. Check your triggers. Check your triggers. Check your triggers. Click, 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 click. Curious. Al, what makes you this way? Al, why do you choose to see life through these lenses while everybody else is cursing? You're full of gratitude and thanksgiving. How many of you entrepreneurs, listen to me right now, would just give a lot for people to just show up and enjoy the fact that they get to work? Because most people curse it. But I will tell you, work will do something in you that nothing else in this world will ever do for you. Number 3, they're creative. This is a spark that drives many successful startups. Creativity isn't just for creatives. It's a skill that can cultivate. I love watching my daughter, how creative she is. She comes up with the most incredible things, as well as all these other, well, you don't know this about me, but when I was growing up, I would spend hours drawing cars and homes. And I would spend hours meticulously putting together models and painting them. The creativity, it was so much fun for me, probably because I, truthfully, was trying to escape my impoverished childhood. I would go to a place that I could create and get out of the spot that was trying to hold me back. Poverty goes from generation to generation to generation to generation because no one stands up and says, if I change the way I think, if I change my identity, if I change my beliefs, I can change where I live. Now, am I putting somebody down? I am not putting anybody down. It's a reality of all of our lives. And we're all somewhere in that journey right now. And most of the time, when guys come to me, they think they've got a $10 million ideal, but they actually have a $50 million idea. They actually have a $100 million year, but their identity and their mindset and their beliefs cause them to live here. Okay, are you okay? Yes. Creativity. Entrepreneurs always look for creative ways to solve problems or deliver a service, and often with limited resources. What I've noticed about entrepreneurs, when everybody else says, oh, there's no opportunity here, they're going, no, 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 make one more call and offer and serve. And even though it doesn't look like it's worth it, behind that door is the biggest deals you will ever have in your life. Boy, if you can train your people to have a mindset and a good enough self-esteem that when everybody else is going, oh, let's go home, they're going, no, 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 I got 5 more doors, and I don't care how many of you stand in a circle and tell me it can't be done. Just watch it happen. And if you're a person of faith, you know the power of the Holy Spirit is going to lead you and guide you and direct you. Isn't that powerful? So they look for different places for inspiration, and their creative helps fuel their love for what they do. Find what gives them ideas and use it as your fuel and cultivate this skill. Lean on the habits that support creativity. It could be music. It could be meditation. It may be being in a group of new people that don't even do what you do. Every year we have a conference here called G5 Conference, and one of the reasons I love it is I bring all these leaders from all these different companies, and everybody says, you can't do that. They'll steal one another. And I go, no, 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 no. No, they're going to get together and start talking about your company, and they're going to go, my company's way better than your company, to themselves, because that's just how entrepreneurs think. And you get exposed. One of the joys I'm having like right now in my life is that through a friend of mine, my wife and I just got to go speak to Chick-fil-A employees. And they're young, and some of them are jacked up, and they've had crazy childhoods. But they're so hungry to learn. And for 2 hours, my wife and I poured into them. And my wife talked about being flexible. And she talked about how we raised our kids, that when our kids would get upset or get in an attitude or start pouting or something, my wife and I would look at them and go, you got 1 minute. You got 1 minute. And then you got to get out of it. You're not going to live the rest of your day pouting in a crouching position. You're going to stand up and fight like a mighty warrior, and you're going to make it. They left us. Guess what they did? The owner of the restaurant didn't do it. The managers in the restaurant didn't do it. You know what they did? They went and put signs all around the inside of Chick-fil-A. You got 1 minute to get out of it. You should have heard him confess in front of all the other coworkers. Oh, I'm struggling with that. I'm really dealing with that. I will never forget one day we were in Spokane, Washington, and my wife looked at Bree, and Bree had a little attitude going on, and my wife said, you got 1 minute. And there was an executive there with us. And when Bree got out of the car, Kay didn't do anything disrespectful or dishonoring. She loved her. She just whispered in her ear, 1 minute. And the executive heard it, and she said, I'm 50 years old, and you have no idea. If someone would have given me that one skill, my life would be so different. Moving from a victim to a victor. It's just incredible. Number 4, are you okay? Willingness to try new things. Open-minded. Anybody got somebody you're thinking of right now that needs to hear this? Besides me. Yeah, there you go. As an entrepreneur, you've got to constantly be presented with new tasks and challenges for your skill set. If you will be faithful in the little, great big things will begin to open to you. But most people don't give their all in the little. Most people don't find a little place to go serve. Don't despise small beginnings. One of my favorite things to do in life is I'm a trench guy. I'm not an Eiffel Tower guy. I love to get down where the rubber meets the road, where there's a lot of people that don't believe, a lot of people that don't have a good identity, a lot of people that honestly, they don't have the right mindset. But I love to start working with them and believing in them and caring for them, and get them to open their mind and be willing to try something new. Wow. Think outside the box. Experience and skills to take on new challenge. Prepare to watch your solutions fail too. We got to condition ourselves that we won't win every time, but all success is built on failure. And you already know this. I just want to remind you that failure is not a person, it's an event. And you're going to build. You got to strategize well outside your own matrix and your tracking successes. You got to quickly make adjustments and find appropriate solutions. Show your product to a trusted group of friends and ask them about it. This is the power of a mastermind. This is the power of a group of people coming together. And I have a massive dream here to have 100 people that we help do $100 million. Well, why would you care about that as a pastor? Because we got a lot to get done. A lot to get done. Number 5 is honesty. In the business world, you're only as good as your word. Your company is only as good as your word. Honesty and integrity are an important trait of an entrepreneur. These personality traits will reap several benefits. You will develop a reputation as a strong and honest communicator. Let me punch pause for a second and equip you as a leader. Don't tell people it's going to be easy when it's going to be hard, because they will never believe you. Look them in the eye like Jesus did and said, birds have nests and fox have holes. We're not going to have any place to lay our head, but we are on a mission that's going to absolutely wreck the world. Don't you want to be told the truth? And isn't there something inside of you that wants to live on that kind of adventure? You're not looking for soft, easy, comfortable places. You're looking for places where you can grow and stretch and hurt and bleed and still come out better. Oh my gosh, this is so good. Leaders, do you have a reputation as a strong and honest communicator? Your coworkers will value your leadership. Clients will know they can deliver on your promises. Oh, please write that down. Clients will know they can deliver on your promises. People will be more willing to lend money for your next ideal. Your community will support you during tough times. These are just some benefits of honesty. Number 6, always have a plan. Successful businesses leave little up to chance. Matter of fact, here at G5, I would encourage you in your company as well. At G5, we not only study what fails, we study why we succeed. Because if you don't know why you win, you cannot repeat it. Why did that work? They look far into the future and backup plans and adapt to unexpected events. You should have a vision for your company 5 to 10 years down the road. By the way, where are you going to be 5, 10 years from now? And you've got to set goals. And Zig used to teach this all the time, but I'm going to give it to you really quick. They got to be smart. Number 1, they've got to be specific. This is an acrostic. Specific. What will the exact outcome look like? What will the return look like? They got to be measurable. How do you know if you've even achieved the outcome? What is the outcome? Where will you be 90 days from now? Where will the growth in each one of your leaders be in 90 days from now? What is the plan? What is the plan for you? Will you stop telling yourself what you're not and start telling yourself what you want to be? Are you with me? Oh, this is good. Measurable. The A is for achievable. It's reasonable for you to expect to achieve this goal. The R is realistic. Can you arrive at your goal with your current resources? And the T is it has to be time bound. Do you have a clear deadline for your goal? Each goal should build upon the last goal in your life. You're probably going to have to go back and listen to this because this is probably some of the most critical stuff I'm giving to you today. Because if you don't do these SMART goals, your opportunity for success is way less. And I think the most important goal of all is your growth goal. How are you going to grow? How are you going to get better? Number 7, understanding the value of self-care. Great leaders understand that exhaustion and overwork are recipes for disaster. At G5, here's what we say: stay fit. Stay fit mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Man, get outside and take a walk. Take some sunshine in. Do you know the research on depression right now, what it does for people? Just 5 minutes of sunshine walking outside. It's amazing. I promise you this, if you and I will take care of ourselves the best we can, it will come back tenfold. It just really will. So the same philosophy should be implemented in your culture to your teammates and coworkers. Make sure they understand the value of their work and encourage them that they need rest. Here's what I would encourage you. Build margin in your life. Build margin. Margin. Just leave some margin. By the way, the other reason I want you to leave margin is because I don't know if you realize it or not, but most of the miracles that Jesus did in his life was on his way, and he left margin. Some of you are missing phone calls because you're too busy on your task, and you're late on your response. Get ahead of it. Be thinking ahead of it, and watch what happens to you. Number 8 is taking risk. Evaluated risk. Risk takers often do well in business as leaders, but you should be clear on your approach and have a backup plan to go to should things go awry. This is a characteristic of a good entrepreneur because business owners, they need to go off the beaten path at certain times, and it can be scary. But you've got to set aside your fear, and you've got to leap into what will make your vision become a reality. 9 is adaptability or flexibility. The world is constantly changing, and so how we do in business, entrepreneurs have no shortage of unexpected challenges. So they must act quickly and efficiently. They've got to adapt, and they've got to be able to see the needs of other people around them and adapt accordingly. Number 10, persist after failure. Successful people and entrepreneurs understand that failure isn't the end of the world. Instead, failure is a rehearsal for success. I love that line. Failure is a rehearsal for success. Persisting despite any roadblocks. Increase your confidence, convictions, creativity, and innovation. If you fail, you learn the lesson and apply it to the next challenge, and you teach yourself to get more grittier than you thought you could ever be. And you begin to change your thinking to radical that says, whatever right now I'm allowing to keep me in my personal life, in my professional life, in my spiritual life, whatever I'm letting hold me back, I'm willing to attack it and change. Here's the challenge. Are you ready, leaders? Here's the challenge. Often it gets worse before it gets better. And we don't want to go through it. I got to make the changes. So here are 6 common mistakes to avoid as an entrepreneur. Are you ready? Number 1, not sticking to your budget. Stay to your budget. Man, when you're a big visionary, this is so important. Because you just know you can do it a little bit better. We have something called Christmas Under the Stars, December 15th. I hope you'll make plans to be here. Bring somebody with you. But the budget to put the stage and the screens and the trees and the sound and the lights and the musicians, it's overwhelming. Why would we do it? Why would we take that risk? Because we'll do anything to reach one more person and give them an experience that changes their lives. Number 2 is making ill-advised or making bad choices on hiring people. There are some really talented people. There are some really great people. There are some really amazing people. They just don't fit. It's kind of like trying to teach a pig to sing. The pig doesn't care, and it annoys the mess out of you. And so in your life right now, choose your teammates wisely. Look for people who share your same entrepreneurial mindset, that don't have a lack mentality, that are not trying to take, that are not trying to just get control and ego in their lives. And by the way, if you got those people and you can't get rid of them, just bring on some new people that will outgrow them and that will be bigger. And give your life to them. But be careful, because all of us have blind spots. By the way, how clear is it what your coworkers need to be doing, and how clear is it what you need to be doing? This is the hardest work you will ever do. And only a leader and only an entrepreneur will understand really what I'm saying. You've got to take the time, and you've got to make a commitment on the front side that I'm willing to go through the pain to get to where I need to go. Are you with me? Yeah, it's important. Number 3, setting achievable goals. I just want to bring that to you again, because some of us, honestly, we think we should be on NASDAQ tomorrow. And it's going to take a little bit of time. But you've got to learn the cycle of your cell. I just said a mouthful. You've got to learn the cycle of your cell. How long does it take to build a relationship to service the client? Number 4, forgetting to delegate. When you bring on great people, let them go. Let them go. Don't micromanage them. I don't know a great leader. I don't know a great entrepreneur that is ever going to stay forever under micromanagement. Give it to me and let me get it done. Okay? Give it to me and let me get it done. Number 5 is making decisions out of fear. Emotions like fear and anger and frustration can cloud your judgment. When you encounter a stressful situation, take a step back, be mindful of your feelings, and approach the situation with a clear mind. A clear mind. It's so critically important. The 6th thing, and I could talk for another hour here, and I won't, but it's relational mistakes. It's not understanding what somebody really wants, or it's me not being loyal to the people that are loyal to me. Did you hear what I said? It's so critical. Relational mistakes, and every leader is going to make them. So let me tell you, in all your relationships right now, and I close, you're either repairing or building a relationship. And when you're building a relationship, you're buying in. People know you have their back. They know you're loyal. They know they can count on you. And they know that when you touch it, you're not touching it for your own glory and honor and your own ego. You're touching it because a rising tide raises all ships. Are you with me? Yes. All right, guys, listen to me. Your greatest opportunities right now are in front of you. Get with somebody that can help you clarify it. Change your mindset. Change your identity. And change your belief system. And you're not going to believe how your life goes to a whole nother place. I love you, Charge.